I think the most striking and optimistic thing in all of this is that 31% of those businesses we surveyed have said they've really woken up to exporting and are trying to increase how much they export. That's significant because, of course, the UK hasn't had a great track record over time in getting more companies out there into market and indeed driving up the value of what we export. If more companies are engaged, excited and interested as a result of the Brexit discussion, that's good news for our exporting future.
What's really interesting, though, is that the vast majority of companies that you've surveyed, nearly 2/3, say that the referendums had absolutely no impact whatsoever on their export plans.
Well, what's interesting here is that these are companies that by and large are already exporting. They're already in the game. And they're the sorts of companies who probably have weathered many different storms, be they political, economic or financial, in the past. So they know that keeping their export markets is hugely important to them, and of course they're going to continue and intensify their strategies. In the post-referendum era, businesses by and large are simply carrying on. I'd sort of split it this way. About a quarter of our firms are saying to us, I'm directly affected, I need to look at what mitigations I need to put in place, what scenario planning I need to do, etc. The other 3/4 say, I know I'll be affected, but it's indirect. I've got my head down, I'm doing business, I'll respond to conditions as they arise, and I'm just being pragmatic. And I hope that that sort of pragmatic attitude can continue over time, because those businesses then are looking at the fundamentals in their own firms and their own business plans, rather than listening to so much of the noise we have around us right now.
Do you think that will change once Article 50 is actually triggered?
Well, there are a number of points across the next couple of years which could cause businesses to reassess their strategies, to look at doing things a little bit differently. But that pragmatism, I see it from Cornwall to Inverness, I see it from Northern Ireland to Norfolk, and it's deeply, deeply ingrained amongst many firms. They say, we've weathered change before, we will do it again. This may be a bigger change than many of the ones we've seen in the past, but we're going to keep on trading.
Do you see much appetite to go into new territories away from Europe?
Well, there is significant appetite, and businesses see North America, for example, as another market where they're looking at intensifying the amount of resource they put into selling into that particular market.
Mr. Trump's decision to ban migrants from certain countries to the United States at the moment, potentially that is chucking sand in the wheels of free trade.
We are starting to hear some concerns from businesses about the uncertainty generated by some of these migration changes. In this case, it's the US, but if it happened in other markets around the world, I think there would also be concern from British businesses worried about either people they've got out in market at the moment or people that need to visit a market that may see that that becomes more difficult in future. So I think it's incumbent on our government to try to help our businesses continue to trade and continue to be able to get their people around the world, because so much of export is indeed a face-to-face business. It's a contact sport, and being able to get into market is going to be important.
So do you worry that there could be tit-for-tat reprisals from some of the countries that Trump has now barred its nationals from the US?
I'm not sure, but one thing that I know would be very bad for business in the UK and indeed in other outward-looking markets like our own would be protectionist migration measures across the board. Businesses benefit hugely from being able to go out to visit their clients and suppliers, wherever they may be. And if that becomes harder, we may see the amount of trade that happens decrease. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
There have been calls for Mr. Trump to no longer have a state visit open to him post these changes that he's made on immigration. Where would you stand on that?
Well, I mean, I think businesses are inherently a pragmatic bunch. What they would want to see is the political leaders of both the US and the UK looking at ways to improve trade and improve ties between the two countries. I don't think they would take a view necessarily on the politics of it, but I'm sure that they would want their concerns to be strongly worded to any visitor that may come this way.